Hey everyone, welcome back to the Path to Purpose podcast. My name is Kieran Williams, and today I'm going to be sharing with you something a little bit different. Today I'm going to be talking about a travel story from when I was in India in 2023. And this kind of links in with the topic of having courage and moving past fears. But the reason I wanted to share this with you all today is because India wasn't the top country on my travel list. And I've got a lot of places that I really want to travel to create content for both my photography, my vlogs, and I never really considered going to India in the past. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I came to that conclusion of going to India and what my experience was actually like. So first of all, the way that it came around that I went to India was an idea that came up when I was in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia back in April 2023. And I was in Kuala Lumpur for a couple of months creating content around the city, and also I was luckily there around the time of Ramadan, so I had so much content to create, but I had no idea where I was going to go after going to Malaysia. And my good friend Rob made a couple of suggestions for some countries to go to, and one of them was India, and I was a bit on the fence about going there. I wasn't sure whether it would be somewhere that I'd be interested in, because I thought to myself that maybe I'd feel quite overwhelmed being in the huge crowds, because obviously India is a very, very populated country and there's a very different type of atmosphere there to, say, in Southeast Asia especially, because for those of you that have been to Southeast Asia would know that you often see lots of other tourists, lots of other content creators, people that are doing the same thing. Whereas in India, it's not as common. People are starting to do it a lot more now, but it's definitely not as common to see other people traveling around there, other tourists from Western countries, from Europe. But after a few weeks of sort of hyping myself up around the idea, I actually got round to booking my itinerary for going to India, and I ended up going to 3 different places while I was there over the course of around 2.5 weeks. So my first stop was in Mumbai. And to be honest, it was quite a spontaneous decision to go to Mumbai. I'd heard good things about it. I'd heard that it was a really beautiful city, and after seeing some videos online, I saw that there was like a mixture between slums and also like the modern side of Mumbai, which is currently being developed. So that's what I primarily focused on when I was there, was creating content around the contrast of living in India and the different living styles. And I spoke to a lot of locals there as well. It was a very interesting experience, and actually it was the first time on my travels where I felt really nervous. And I think that's because I was really out of my comfort zone. Like, it isn't usually like me to go around the streets vlogging, holding a camera, and literally being the only Western person you can see for miles. Though I didn't see another person there at all. So there were times where I felt quite isolated, but it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had. And everyone was so friendly that I met. Everyone was really excited to see me as well, because obviously where they don't get many tourists there from Europe, from the UK, from the US, it's also a new experience for them to see us go into India. So I had a lot of interesting conversations with people. I was vlogging and speaking with a lot of people as well, so that helped me with my confidence while I was walking around. And overall, it just became this really memorable experience. And the only thing that was difficult during that time was the heat. It was absolutely boiling. So I'd recommend that if you do go to India, going in the summer is an absolute no-go, just because of how humid it is. So next time I go back there, I'm definitely not going in May and June, because that's when I was there. But I do feel that going to India really did help me with my confidence and overcoming my fears, because even though India wasn't at the top of my list, by going somewhere that wasn't at the top of my list, it helped me to realise how quite often we put countries or we put things at the bottom of our list that we really don't want to do. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be travelling. It could be anything at all in our lives. If there's things that we don't want to do, we put them at the bottom of our lists because of numerous reasons. And one of them reasons could be to do with fear, or it could be to do with confidence, not feeling like you're capable of doing it, so you put it off and do other things instead. And I know that these reasons are things that I've definitely felt before, so maybe you guys can relate to that as well. But I'm so glad I done it, because now I've done it once, I know that I could probably do it again easier next time. Like if there was somewhere else I wanted to go to that I was a bit worried about, or if there was something else in my life that I was trying to do that I wasn't confident in, I know that if I put my mind to it, I would probably have a better chance of succeeding in doing that, because I've done it before now. I've done it when I went to India. So after being in India for around 5 days, I went to my next destination in India, which was Goa. And actually, while I was here, it wasn't the best experience, but the only reason that is because I caught the dreaded Delhi belly. And for those of you that don't know what Delhi belly is, it's basically a type of food poisoning, like a bacteria that is often found on meats or on fresh vegetables or things that have been washed in potentially like an unhygienic way. It's inevitable that you will catch it at some point if you're in India for a long time. The best way to avoid it is just by eating like a lot of hot foods that are cooked well, avoiding meats. But unfortunately, one of the days I was in Goa, I slipped up and I completely forgot about not having meats. And actually in Goa, it was the first time I had chicken. So unfortunately, it was that one time that I did catch this Delhi belly. And I basically lost all my energy for the whole time I was there, so I didn't really get to see too much. I went out one of the days to the beach and sort of tried to push through, but after that it was just too much, so I spent the rest of my time there just relaxing indoors and basically just trying to recover, really, because the next destination after Goa that I was going to was Delhi. And for those of you that don't know, Delhi is, I believe, the second most populated city in the world. It is very, very busy. So I wanted to be back to my 100% health for when I went there, because I had so many ideas for content that I wanted to create there. And I also knew it was going to be chaos in comparison to Goa, because Goa is a very quiet place. It's a beach resort kind of area. And a lot of people, both from India and from abroad, they all travel there to relax, and there's really lovely beaches there, lots of bars, restaurants, cafes. It's like a really chill place. However, Delhi, of course, being the capital of India as well, it was just unbelievable how busy it was, and I'll get onto that in a minute. So after spending that time in Goa, I was starting to feel a lot better by the end of my trip there, and I was quite fortunate, really, because while I wasn't feeling very well, there was a lot of rainfall in Goa, so the weather wasn't great to go out and explore and see different things, because there was like thunderstorms, heavy rain. So it wouldn't have been the most pleasant experience anyway. So I kind of, in a way, I saw it as I was fortunate that the weather was bad while I was not feeling very well. Anyway, eventually I made it to Delhi. I got my next flight to Delhi, which, by the way, the flights around India are very easy to do, all the local airports. And I got there and I spent my last 5 days exploring the city, and I also went down to the Taj Mahal while I was there as well, which is in Agra. There's a few ways you can get there. One of them is by train, which is what a lot of the locals do. I actually got a Uber there because it's a little bit more expensive, but it's just a little bit more comfortable, and because I was there during the summer in 42-degree heat, I was definitely opting for the luxury version of getting there and having a bit of air conditioning in the car on the way there, so that definitely helped. But yeah, during my time in Delhi, this was actually, I think, more intense than Mumbai. So Mumbai is a very busy city, but Delhi, I actually went out at around 6 a.m. to start my first vlog. I was doing like a first impressions of Delhi video, and I just wanted to show all the local spots, all the famous areas that people usually would go to in a city. And I went out down to the river that I can't remember the name of now, but the main river that's in Delhi. There's a spot there where there's lots of boats that people can go on, and you can row out onto the river. I got there for around 6 a.m. and the sun was just coming up, and honestly it was like rush hour. It was worse than rush hour in any country I've been to before, and this was around 6 a.m. and the sun was still just coming up. So yeah, I can't explain how many people there were there. So it was already quite overwhelming for that time of morning, because I felt like I was still waking up. The whole world was just wide awake in Delhi. It was crazy. But again, these experiences that I had while I was there were unlike anything I've had before, but they're memories that I'll carry with me forever now, because they were really special moments, because they were things that I never would have thought I would have experienced before. I could have told myself that I won't go to India, I'll go somewhere else where I feel more comfortable with going. But instead of doing that, I decided to try and get out of my comfort zone, go somewhere that I knew would be good for creating content, would be good for me to practice being more confident as well. And overall, I'm just really glad that I did what I did. So if you do want to check out any of these videos, by the way, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Kieran Travels. And that's where I post regular vlogs from all the countries I've been to. And I've also got a lot more videos that are going to be coming up very soon as well. So for those of you that are interested in this type of content, then feel free to go and check it out. One thing I will say though is that the encounters that I had with people while I was in India were very special moments. Everyone is so friendly and the hospitality there is just really great. Like everyone wants to help you and give you directions. Of course, like any country you go to, you have to be aware of people that would potentially try and scam you or trick you. But most people were very authentic and very down to earth. Actually, while I was in Delhi, I met a traffic officer who was walking around in the area that I was in, and I was talking to him for a while. He was asking me what I'm doing in India, where I'm going to, and he actually offered to buy me a chai, which was also very kind of him. It was a very nice gesture. So for those of you that don't know as well, the main drink that they have in India is chai, which is their tea, and they sell it everywhere. You can find it absolutely everywhere in India, and it's super cheap. I think in euros it's probably around 30 cents, maybe cheaper, and it actually tastes really, really good. And I became addicted to it because I had it everywhere I was going, and whenever I saw one I just bought a cup of it because it really is so nice. And this traffic officer, he was offering to buy me one. At first I thought he was showing me where there was one to get chai, but he was actually offering me a chai, like he was offering to buy one for me. And even though I turned it down and I said, oh no, it's okay, I'll buy it myself, he insisted. And it was just so nice of him to do something like that, a small gesture for a tourist that he clearly obviously knew was a tourist in his country. He wanted to do something good. There were many moments like this where people would be so willing to help you out. These moments are also really memorable as well. So I'm very grateful for the experiences that I had while I was traveling in this country, and I would absolutely do it again. I would love to go back to India and explore some different regions, because of course India is a big country and they have a very, very big culture there as well. So there's always new experiences that you can have. So the main message that I was trying to convey in this story with you all is that if there is something that you really want to do that you're putting off because you don't feel confident enough about doing it, or fear is holding you back, or it's self-doubt, or whatever it is, ask yourself what it would be like and how it would feel if you did do it. Because of course the fears that we hold on to a lot of the time are just in our heads. They're never going to come true. And like I said before, whether this is with travel or any other aspect of your life, you've just got to try and continue to do the things that are going to be beneficial for you and for the life that you want to live. And ask yourself, what is the story that you want to tell in the future? What stories do you want to have to share with other people, to inspire other people? So with that being said, I'd like to thank you all for listening to today's episode. And I hope that this inspires you to take the steps on your journey, or should I say your path to purpose. But as always, thank you for listening, and I will catch you all in the next one.